Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's me, Mitch, and welcome to Morning Coffee with Mitch. Drink it if you got it. And I see that I'm live on YouTube, but I don't see any indication that I'm live on Rumble yet. Always a suspenseful period. Let me go over and see. Not yet. Do have some chats going on, but I haven't seen an indication. It says there's 10 people watching, but I don't have. There it is. I am live. So let me mute that stream. Yes, I am. I am live on Rumble, and I'm live on YouTube. Yay. Good to see everybody this morning. How are you? I finally got some sleep last night after a couple days of tension. A couple days of tension about the election and everything else, but things are beginning to settle back to normal. Setting back to normal. The furor has kind of died down a little bit. The lunacy still prevails. Yes, it marvels me that all those people are still living in a fantasy world. They're spreading their propaganda. And I saw some very disturbing things on the news this morning, but I don't want to make this all about politics today. We've done that for the last couple days. I want to get back to what I really want to do here in the morning. And that is smile, be happy, go back to saying life is good. And life is getting better. Life is getting better. And I'm cautiously optimistic about the fact that all this transition stuff will go smoothly, that some of these lunatics will back off a little bit and stop with this stupid rhetoric that they're still doing. I hope we stop seeing all of these YouTube videos showing crazy people on TikTok and on YouTube and all the other social media sites screaming and crying, and it's not unbelievable because you see it right in front of your very eyes. But it's very sad. It's very sad that people have been so deeply brainwashed and their ideologies are so spoiled that their lives they consider their lives over. I wonder if the election had gone the other way, if all of us would be doing the same thing. Somehow, I don't think so. I didn't see it 4 years ago. But at any rate, things are looking up. We're talking about carnivore. We're talking about getting healthy. And it really does my heart good to see and hear more of that kind of talk coming out in things that are national, things that go national, whether it be on the morning news or whether it be from YouTube influencers that have guests like Elon Musk and RFK Jr. and people who are bringing our little cause, the things that we've been made fun of over the entire time we've been believing that it's true and living that truth and in the benefits to health and everything else that we get by not following all this nonsense nutritional advice and understanding where all that came from. How many people are actually going to make a change in their personal life? Well, if a half of 1% of people, which is a lot of people in this country, actually take this stuff seriously, then we've won a major step forward. And that That alone makes me happy. So, speaking of all this happiness, and God, that I miss her yesterday morning. As soon as Ellen unmutes her microphone, I will bring her in. There you are.
Hi.
God, were you a busy bee in the chat this morning? Holy cow.
Always, always. The chat is busy. Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everyone in chat. I'm still learning. You were talking about this, where I'm supposed to look. I don't know where I'm supposed to look. Good morning, everyone. I'm just looking
No, you're doing fine. You're looking right into the camera. You're
out
doing
into the
great.
universe. Well, you know me, I'm going to be optimistic. It's a beautiful day out today. I've already been outside getting the morning sun in my eyeballs, and it's a beautiful day here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and it's a gorgeous morning here in Florida. It's not hot yet. The sun is shining. Breeze blowing. I opened one of the windows, and the breeze
Mhm.
is blowing through the window. And mornings, I'll tell you, it's very interesting. Mornings like this take me back many years.
Mm.
When because if you've ever stayed on a boat, if you ever, and most people haven't stayed on a big boat overnight or gone somewhere and slept on the boat, lived on the boat for a week.
Yeah, I haven't. I've stayed overnight on a boat. I've never, not longer than that.
Well, what happens is this is when you get up first thing in the morning at the crack of dawn and you stick your head outside.
Hmm.
The wind is always blowing. It's always cool, and
Mm.
it's a very and the water's out there and it's rustling and it's making noise, and it is just warms your soul to be alive on a morning like that. And when
Mm.
I'm up early this morning, like I was this morning, and the sun was just coming up and the breeze is blowing and it was cool, and I took my shoes off and stepped out back to put my bare feet in the grass,
Great.
I flashed back immediately to all those times I traveled on my boat wherever we ended up in. Was able to come out first thing in the morning and experience that feeling, and it's nice to be reminded. Those are some good times. It's nice to be reminded sometimes of the good times in your life instead of
Yes.
only the bad and hard times. But
Yes.
no, it's gorgeous morning and life is good. Life is
And
good.
and all these wonderful people are here.
Yes, we
How
got
can
a.
I not be chatting? It's like, saying hi to all my friends,
Oh,
and
you've been busy, and
it's
we have
great.
already 100 people in the YouTube live stream, and 12
Mhm.
people are watching on Rumble, and
Great.
I have it on my tablet here, and it's hard for me to read. I wanted to keep track. I wanted to keep track of the chat over there. Uh, Proud American says watching on Rumble and YouTube. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, we've got some
That's
very
great.
text.
That's great. So it'll be interesting to see how many people actually remember from yesterday. We had about 30 people, 35 people at the Apex yesterday that actually
Mhm.
watched on Rumble, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's
and
good.
I did want to say before I put you up in your penthouse, I did want to answer the burning question from yesterday for those two people that gave me super chats on Rumble. How much did Rumble give me?
Mm.
And the answer is, while they have a different method of computing it, and the smaller the super chat, the bigger cut they take, it ends up averaging out to be just about the same as what YouTube takes, what Google takes.
Mm.
So, and I've never complained about that because of the fact that we get to use their platforms.
Right.
Somebody's got to, somehow that's got to be paid
Mhm.
for. So they
Right.
get it paid
Mhm.
for in their advertising. I have no way of turning off any advertising on Rumble, so all the mid-roll ads are going to run. I have no control. At
Mm.
least in
Oh.
YouTube, they give me a box to check, turn
Oh.
off the mid-roll ads, and I always check it. And
Mhm.
yet they still have the. I know there's something I checked. I agree somewhere along the line. It gave them the right to do whatever the hell they want, regardless of what box I check. So I think they probably do it, but
Mhm.
I'm doing my best not to have these mid-roll ads that just
Mhm.
interrupt all the time in the middle of
Yeah.
a stream or a video. So that's where we are,
Right.
Ellen. I'm going to elevate you to the penthouse.
Okay, I'll see you
There
on
you are.
the chat.
And I'm also going to say that if you have any questions for me today, type QQQ in front of them, and Ellen will make sure that I don't miss them, and it really works good that way. So let's go on. Let's get on earlier without me pontificating on politics for 2 hours. Let me drink a little sip of my coffee from my cup that says, of course, I talk to myself. Sometimes I need expert advice. I did have to make one announcement. I got a second email 2 days ago from somebody who with a picture included, and I showed that picture the other day, that said, my daughter made you this coffee cup, where can I send it? And one of the prime pieces of advice for anybody on YouTube is do not give out your home address. Not with all the crazies in the world. And I try very hard. And I've had to when people said, I want to send you something. I've had to politely decline, thank them profusely, and say, I'm sorry. So yesterday I went online and I bought a post office box in the post office about 4 miles from my house. It's not cheap buying these post office, but I did. I bought the post office box, and I have to, later this morning, I have to drive over to the post office and turn in the form that I printed out from my online registration. They'll give me the box number and the keys after I show them 2 forms of identification. They really don't want people using P.O. boxes for nefarious reasons, and I don't blame them. So I will do that this morning, and as soon as I know that P.O. box number, the first thing I'm going to do is email it back to those 2 people who have coffee cups that they made for me so they can send them. And I'm going to put it in the description of my videos. And just like all the other stuff down there and links and things, it'll be in the default description now. So anytime I create a new stream or post a new video, it'll automatically be in there. And I'll put it on my website too, in the area where the contact information is. And I'm telling anybody, I love this stuff. Even if you just want to write me a note or whatever, if you think you want to mail me something, mail it to that P.O. box. It'll be in Melbourne, Florida. And I'll thank you all in advance, unless you send me hate mail. And judging by some comments I get, I wouldn't be surprised either. I wouldn't be surprised that people would want to waste postage to tell me how little they think of me. But you take the bad with the good. Fortunately, the good overwhelms the bad, and that's encouraging. So let me start saying hi to people, and I'm going to go back to the beginning of the chat because for some reason, and I got this when Peter put a chat in there saying, what happened to my chat from last night? Sometimes YouTube does that. They don't show really old entries. They start, I don't know how they pick it or when. Sometimes the stuff people put in the night before shows up. Other times it doesn't. And let me do one thing before I start saying hello to people. Let me go over here, and I see people are chatting. We had Proud American watching on Rumble. Boyd Lamb put a link in there, and Rumble does let you put links in the chat where YouTube doesn't. Only moderators can do that. And LT2112 says good morning in the Rumble chat, and that's great. And I'm going to try to keep an eye on that and not let our friends at Rumble, who aren't watching on YouTube as well, not feel left out. I'd feel left out. We're going to figure out a way where Ellen can also watch that chat, but we haven't gotten there yet. You know, next thing you know, Ellen will have to have a setup like I have in my studio with 12 monitors, and she'll be so busy. I don't know. Maybe if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we'll work about that. At any rate, Ellen was the first one in this morning and says, good morning to everybody. Bob M. came in. How you doing? Good to see you. Then Papa Carnivore says, good morning. He commented earlier, we'll give you credit for it, Peter. You are the winner today. Rick, Charger Mopar's here. How you doing? Good morning from Miami. And Eddie Edwards is here. Good to see you, Eddie. Eddie says, good morning from over the water to Florida and Wisconsin. Great. We like that. We like that waterfront stuff. Lori's Carnivore Story says, good morning to everybody. And we had Don Schonger coming about 8 o'clock. Good morning to you, Don. And Richard Williams from Copper Hill, Tennessee, showed up about 8:11. Always good to see you. Wanda Gerling is here. Hi, Wanda. Good morning, Mitch, Ellen. It's amazing to wake up in such a wonderful, beautiful country. I'll drink to that. I'll drink to that. It's also wonderful for me, finally, to be surrounded by people that I know are patriots. There are things in the past that I've disagreed with in this country. But I have never stopped being a patriot, and I've never stopped loving this country. Enough politics. Paul McGrogan, good morning. Coffee Club. Yeah, I like that. Coffee Club. And Bodzod is here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. United Carnivore is here. Mike Seeley, greetings from Tampa Bay. How you doing? How you doing? And CB Carmack from Alabama. Good morning, Sheriff. Good to see you. Good to see you. Always happy when you show up. And then Ellen went on a string. And CB Jeff Johnson, the name you know. Hi, Mitch and Ellen. I'm preparing a nice ribeye with scrambled eggs and bacon. Oh, man. Oh, man. I have to wait. I wait till 11 or 12, but I can't think of anything that sounds better than that. Certainly not any carb-laden junk, that's for sure. Terry Sue is here. Good morning. Margie Graves, how are you? Good to see you. And Tom from Tampa, Viking 442. Good to see you. Fred Wright is here. Good morning, everyone. Just finished breakfast, bacon and eggs. Yes, still new to this, but I've already lost 12 pounds and lowered my blood pressure. Well, you hang in there, Fred. You're off to a good start. And if it's that early in the game for you, just don't let yourself get hungry enough. Don't worry so much about the weight. Make sure that you do whatever you need to do to fight those cravings. Grandma Prepper 2022, good to see you this morning. And Marcia's here, Chelsea's Adventures. We saw Marcia last night on the private live stream. I think we were all tired last night from the events of the last couple of days. We have, who is this? This is, Moto J81. Yeah, that name always looks confusing when I see it on the computer. Something about the letters in it kind of merged together. Good to see you, says, good morning, friends. I didn't. Patty Molden's here. How you doing, Patty? And, wow, I have such a hard time reading the green lead. Dixie Scott, good morning, Dixie. How are you? And who have we got here? Father of United Carnivore, Mike Seeley Sr. Good to see you. And, holy cow, I got a super chat over on Rumble. Let me go quick take a look at that and thank No Slow for a super chat on Rumble. P.O. Box Fund. Thank you so much, my friend. I can't show it on the screen, but I can see it and acknowledge it. No Slow on Rumble, $10 super chat. Thank you. Believe it or not, I mean, I didn't believe it because I haven't had a P.O. box in so long, but it costs $200 for a year for the smallest, tiniest little box that they have at a real post office. And I wanted it to be in a real post office, not one of these mailbox things. I wanted to be able to go check my P.O. box if I had to go at 4 o'clock in the morning and pick up something. I wanted to be able to get to it. I don't want to have to wait for a store to open. So $200. It used to be around $100 a year, but it's been so long since I've had one. But they have services. So if you send me a package that won't fit in the P.O. box, you send me a coffee cup, let's say. They will put it in a package locker, and they'll take the key to that locker and put it in my P.O. box so that I can come anytime and pick up my package without having to stand in line and wait for one of those people behind the counter. It's worth a few extra bucks to get that kind of service. And I also have what they call informed delivery. So I don't need to run to the post office. And I wouldn't have done it without this. Run to the post office every day and check to see if there's any mail for me. I can go right on the USPS website and it'll tell me if there's mail waiting for me. And it'll show me an image or a picture of the envelope or whatever it is. So with those services that they offer, for me it's worth a couple $100. And thank you for helping out with that. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciated, my friend. Time traveler Karen from the future. The future. How is Connecticut in the future? Karen? Pamela Suarez is here. Good to see you. Valerie Thompson. Good morning, everybody. And Tom is back. I have a hard time seeing the green thing, so if I get you twice, lucky you. Robert, it's either Sprakale or Sprakali. How you doing, Robert? Good morning, everyone, he says. And anybody new? The ground beef. Randy, the ground beef guy. How you doing? Good morning. Fellow meat lovers, he says. Lorraine Bernie, how you, or no, not Bernie. Borneo. Lorraine Borneo. Good morning, Lorraine. Good morning. I'm a new member. Been sort of carnivore for a year. Well, congratulations. Sort of carnivore is certainly better than no carnivore, and you can tell by your results if maybe you're not such a raging carb addict that you can be sort of carnivore and still see the results and benefits that you want. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. Let us know how you're doing, and certainly ask any questions if there's something that we can do to help. Right now, it looks like I have 23 people watching on Rumble and 131 on YouTube. Wow, that's great. That's great on a Friday morning, and Friday is traditionally, from the few weeks that I've been doing this morning thing, traditionally a slower day. Maybe people are getting ready for the weekend. I don't know. But this is a great turnout so far for a Friday. David, either Ken or Keen. Good morning, Mitch. David Keen. Let's see what he says. Keen or Kane? Oh, Kane. Okay. Okay. An Americanized German name. Yeah, my name is also, my last name is also an Americanized German name, but we all had immigrants that, mine came from Eastern Europe. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yvonne C is here. How you doing, Yvonne? Good to see you, and we're getting down to about 8:33 after the stream went live. Polish Mike is here. Hey, Polish Mike, good morning, boss, he says. Thank you, my friend. Somebody new. Bearded Meat. I like that. I really like that name. Like that name. Bob Keller's here. How you doing? Says good morning to everybody. We got a real friendly group here. Real friendly group. And let's see who I haven't said hi to. Mark Whistler. Good morning, sir. How you doing? Thanks for coming in. Good to see you. And the newer ones are getting more and more sparse among all the chatting that's going on. Diane Lee. Hiya, Diane. How you doing? From Western Kentucky. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Who is this? Oh, it's Moto J again. I swear that's hard to see from even with my new glasses. I still don't want to have to wear the specialized glasses for the computer, which make it a little sharper, but they're not nearly as comfortable as these. And these do pretty good for brand new glasses. Satya Khalsa's here. We saw Satya last night. How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. And our friend from visiting from Finland out there in Utah, Turamir. Good morning. How you doing, Turamir? Good to see you. Good to see you, that's for sure. Somebody on Rumble named Jesus is King says he loves Florida, or she. Welcome. Glad to see you. Glad to see people using the Rumble. Maybe we're going to be introduced to some people that don't know our channel and don't know me, especially don't know Ellen. Mark C says, good morning, folks. How you doing, Mark? Good to see you. Always good to see you. Everybody's saying hi. B-Matt is here. B-Matt says, good morning. How you doing, Matt? Always a pleasure, man. Who is this? Sue Hall. How you doing? I lived aboard three different boats in Alaska, a total of about 11 years. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, but in Alaska, you freeze your ass off at certain times of the year. You're down in the Caribbean or Florida, every morning is like that. It's glorious. It's glorious. Who is this? Who is this? Cindy Braddock, how you doing? Everyone talking about sunshine, and we had overnight storms and under a flood watch. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. But, you know, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. Lisa Russell, how you doing, Lisa? If anyone experienced I was curious if anyone experienced, what does that say? RECED, recede, hail, you. I have no idea what that means. Reversed. Is that a disease? No, I have never.
Sometimes you can figure the typos out, but there are too many. Lisa, maybe you can retype that for us.
Whatever it is, it's obviously an obscure disease, but I don't.
Recede.
I can't. Sorry, can't figure that out. If Ellen can't figure it out, we're in real trouble.
Hopefully she'll retype that for us.
Yeah, I found a question, Ellen, on my own from Bodzod. How you doing? Bodzod said, I'm curious. If you discovered the carnivore diet in your 30s, do you think your life would have been significantly different? If so, how? Well, there's no doubt about that. If I had discovered this and been able to stick to it, whether I would have been able to stick to it in my 30s is highly unlikely, because when you're in your 30s, your life is a hell of a lot more social than my hermit-like existence is now. The exposure to all these things. I would never have in my 30s, none of the stuff that we've discovered about the fraud and the corruption would have been as evident to me. There probably would have been no reason for me to do anything different than I was, trying to lose weight on a low-carb diet, but always being waylaid by my addictions. That is a practical answer to that question. If I had discovered it, and if I knew what I know now, and if I had stayed on it, everything in my life, my entire life, in every realm of everything I did, because of something called the airplane going over here, something called the butterfly effect. Even the smallest change in history can have dramatic effects on everything that follows. And if I had made as that drastic a change in my life at 30, I can truly say, and I can't even begin to guess what might have happened because it's unknown. It would be like me trying to guess what's going to happen way back when I was 30. Everything in my life would have been different. Virtually everything. Everything. What businesses I started. Where I found myself at any given instant, at any given day. Because everything that happened in my life after 30 was the result of where I was, when I was there, who I met, who I talked to, what ideas I got, where I got them. You can't do it. The combinations of different things that might have happened are indeed infinite. And that's, I think, a true answer to that question. And it's an interesting question and kind of a little mind exercise. And you know I enjoy those things. So thanks for that. You ask great questions, my friend. I hope that answer satisfies you. And we ask ourselves that same question, all of us do all the time. God, if I only knew then what I know now. Well, unfortunately, we didn't know then what we know now, so whatever happened, happened the way it happened. And there's no going back, unfortunately. So the moral of that story is, if you do know it now, take advantage of the fact that you know it now and see if you can't improve everything from here on out. Would be sad to look back 10 years from now and saying, holy shit, I should have done this 10 years ago because I knew and didn't do it. That would be the real tragedy. Anyway, thanks for that question. That was a great question. And I think we're at the top of the hour, Ellen, and I think I'm coming down to the last of Billy is here. I see Billy. How you doing, Billy? Good to see you. Welcome to the best. Billy is new. And Billy says, my first time. Looking forward to any advice. Well, there's enough advice on this channel. There's pushing 500 videos, and God knows how many live streams I've done. So if you have questions, ask them. There's no question that, even though I may have answered it 100 times before, I always realize that there's so many new people coming, and the turnover of the people that watch me regularly. Because you can only watch the same person so much. I find myself getting tired of some of the most popular experts in the subject. Not that I don't still admire them, but as you keep watching them, they basically never say anything you hadn't heard before, so you go for your entertainment somewhere else. So I understand that. And I try to cater to all the new people that happen upon me, both to entertain and maybe I could, something I say will register and be helpful to you. So welcome. Welcome, Billy. Good to see you. That's about it. That's about it for the new people, I think. Who's this? Baddest Cat, how you doing? Good morning to you. I think this is Boyd. Yeah, Boyd Lamb. It's too late now, I guess, but look into virtual P.O. Boxes services. No, I think I want a real P.O. Box. I want a real, but thanks, Boyd. Thanks. No, I wanted to do this. Here's another question that I found. I'm going to find, if I keep doing this, Ellen, I'm going to put you out of a job, but I don't want to do that. Isabella says, hello, I can't drink my coffee without creamer. I know it's bad. Do you have any suggestions on how to replace it? Milk is not so good for me. No, but milk is better for you than the creamers. And the only way I can think of that might work is to basically wean yourself off of it. Wean yourself off of it. If you use a teaspoon today, in 3 or 4 days, use 3/4 of a teaspoon. And maybe a week later, cut it back to a half a teaspoon. And when you get used to it, it seems like it's pretty good with a half a teaspoon, cut it back maybe another 1/8 of a teaspoon. Maybe it'll take you 2 months. But pretty soon you'll be drinking black coffee like me saying, wow, look what I've been missing my whole life, especially if you have halfway decent coffee. It tastes great. And the thought of putting cream or anything in my coffee, I say, you know, why ruin a perfectly delicious cup of black coffee? I never used to drink. When I was younger, I always had cream and sugar in my coffee. I couldn't drink it black, but I did that. I started weaning myself off of it. It's so much easier to drink black coffee. But that creamer, that powdered creamer, is the absolute worst stuff. Even if you got to put heavy whipping cream in your coffee, which is pure fat, you're way ahead of the game. And so many carnivores do. They put butter in their coffee. They put heavy whipping cream, and that's perfectly acceptable. You don't have to drink black coffee. But substitute it with something that is a pure animal product, pure animal fat, and that's what heavy whipping cream or butter is. You might like it better. I would try anything but that that creamer. That creamer is made to be addictive. It's got all of the chemicals in it that are designed to put you in the position you now find yourself in, saying, I just can't drink my coffee without it. If nothing else, get pissed off at the company that makes that creamer and throw them a double-barreled middle finger and stop buying that stuff. All right, Ellen, I think that's enough of saying hi. I at least got to finish saying hi before I start saying goodbye. So what do you got there, Ellen? What do you got there as far as questions for me?
Okay, well, Mitch, you're doing so great on your own. You're right. You might not need me.
Well, I need you.
But,
oh, come on now.
But here's a great question.
Okay.
I found Lorraine Borneo wants to know if you are married. And if so, does your wife practice carnivore? Obviously, she's a new viewer.
Evidently.
Hi, Lorraine. Glad to have you.
Evidently hasn't heard about World War III yet. I think before I answer that, Ellen, and it gets too late, there's something I forgot.
Yes.
And
on that note, speaking of wives, you better light up a cigar.
Just thinking about it. Excuse me while I light my cigar.
Okay.
And I hope it doesn't scare you away or make you think less of me.
Time to get the lymph flowing. Yes. Thank you so much for your patience. Now, am I married? No. I was married twice, 15 years to the first one. The mother of my children. We just married too young. We were never very alike. She's a great woman. I still admire her. Married to my second wife for 20 years. Married her for all the wrong reasons. She was a diagnosed bipolar, manic depressive. I stayed with her 20 years. Damn near ruined my life. And when I got divorced 20 years ago, she ruined the next 20 years of my life, continually coming after me, accusing me of many things I didn't do. And if you've ever dealt with a bipolar person, you know that they are the center of the universe, of their universe. Everybody is their villain. No matter how much anybody does for them, they will find a reason to think that they're being attacked, they're being hurt. As far as she's concerned, I gave her the life of a queen. More money than she could ever spend, the biggest houses she could ever want. She always had Mercedes convertibles to drive around in. We flew to private islands in my own airplanes. She shopped like you couldn't believe. She would come home with 50 pairs of shoes, handbags. Her closet was a size of a bedroom and it wasn't big enough. And I put up with it and I loved her and I did everything I could to make her happy. But for the last 20 years, all I get is 10-page letters telling me everything I did wrong and how I ruined her life. And this lawyer's going to be calling me and that lawyer's going to be chasing me and all that other stuff. And I stole everything when I left and left her with, you would not believe. You'd have to see this stuff. I have a briefcase that now weighs over 50 pounds because I saved everything. And that finally stopped. I pay her alimony. That finally stopped when they passed a law in Florida that basically put an end to permanent alimony. The lawsuit threats stopped. Everything stopped because she knew, or her lawyer told her, you're still getting money from the guy? Yeah. Don't push him. He can walk into court. He can tell the judge, I'm done paying alimony. And the judge is mandated now to end it. It is not even in her discretion or his discretion. And you'll lose what you're getting. I continue to send her money every month. I did love her. I do understand it was a disease and sickness.
I try not to hold that against her. I understand where all the vitriol and hatred came from. It has destroyed my life on top of everything else, including losing businesses. It was the reason I went through a 10-year period of depression. And yet, I still don't want to cut her off or hurt her. Nobody that knows me can understand how the hell I could keep sending her money. My kids think I'm an idiot. But I sleep at night knowing that she could not have had a better husband. And unfortunately, it has kind of ruined me for even looking for another relationship. Even if there's a 1 in 1,000 chance that I missed something in the beginning and ended up in a nightmare again like that. I don't hide much from you guys. I'm not ashamed of I'm very proud of my life. But as they say, shit happens. So that's the answer to your question. No, I'm not married. And I tell everybody, they say, well, are you ever going to get married? I say, who knows? I'm older, but people my age remarry. And I just say, you know what? I haven't found it yet, but I guess maybe I'll know it if I find it, and I'd consider it. So I don't know. But the older you get and the longer you live alone, the more used to the lack of responsibility. Because when you're married, at least for me, the responsibility of making sure my partner was content and happy weighed heavily on me. It was almost like the prime directive. I took it seriously. And it's a long story. I could tell that story for weeks and nonstop about the episodes of it. And her change, like a schizophrenic almost, from after a particularly hard day of fighting, next morning she would actually come and say, I'm so sorry. I don't know where all that came from. I love you so much. You're the best husband in the world. Nobody could have a better husband than you. And later that day, I would look at her and she'd go, we need to talk. And back to the other one again. And I hope none of you ever have to deal either with a spouse or a child or a parent that suffers from that. She was an alcoholic on top of it. She drank a bottle or two of wine every day. And that's the story of my marriage. And that's why I thought I better light up a cigar before we went too deep into that. Okay, Ellen, next one. I still have a question on the screen. You guys are supposed to tell me to clean off my chat things.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah.
Lori is looking out for you, Mitch. She put a comment in there about your comment on the chat. So there we go. That's taken care of. Thank you, Lori.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Yeah, I just don't notice those things.
I know. It's okay. Everyone's looking out for you, Mitch.
I appreciate that. I listen, I could use it. And look at the side of my face all lit by the sun.
I know, I just noticed that. It's like cinematic time.
Is that glorious? Oh, God, it feels
like
good,
the yin
too.
and yang, the dark, the light.
And these things are tinted even, and I'm getting this bright sun. Even though I have a fill light shining directly on me, and I have another light over on this side,
the light.
It just feels
Mitch,
good.
You never know. My dad is 86 and he's got a new hot and heavy relationship. So never say never.
My father was the same way. My mother died 7 years before he did. And he was 18 years older than my mother. And he was, finally I had brought him over to Orlando, and we put him out, and we arranged for a really nice, really high-class assisted living place for him, where he had an apartment. It wasn't a room; it was a full-blown apartment, and he could live there, do his shopping, do his cooking. He was pushing 90 years old living there, and the place was full of older. And sure enough, he got himself a girlfriend. I mean, it's a funny story. I mean, I loved my dad, and he was He was
Yeah.
such a great guy. Never had an enemy in his lifetime. At any rate, he
He
had a
sounds like a
girlfriend,
great guy.
and she was much younger than him. She had to be in her. He was in it, in his late 80s. She was in her like early 70s. And
Mm.
my dad and I were very close, and we shared a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, we were talking about it, and he says, yeah, he says, and believe it or not, kid, we're intimate. I didn't know at that point whether to stick my fingers in my ears and go, la, 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 too much information, Dad. I said, you're intimate. And then my curiosity got piqued.
Mm-hmm.
I said, wow, everything's still working? And he said, the greatest line, and it may sound a little risque, but he told me that the greatest line that a father could ever tell his son, especially a son who was getting older himself, and wondered what his old age. And I'm thinking about, well, geez, what can I expect when I get to be, in my late 80s?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, yeah. He says, I can still get it up, he says. He says,
Great.
and then he said, but I just can't keep it up. I almost hit the floor, and I said to myself, you know what? If that's the way I'm going to be in my late 80s, I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it. And then she broke his heart. Poor guy.
No. Oh.
She left him. She found some other guy in the assisted living thing that was like 10 years or 15 years younger than my dad.
Oh,
And
that's terrible.
he says, yeah, she left me because she told me that I was, the age difference was too great. And it broke his heart. It broke his heart.
Oh.
He died within a year after that. I know that it broke his heart.
Oh.
So,
Oh.
if you're getting older and you're going to open up your heart again and give it to somebody, you better be sure they're going to handle it with care, because it could be
it's
life ending, the disappointment.
It's always a risk.
It is. It is.
But I guess nothing ventured, nothing gained.
But
anyway,
that's a funny story. That's a funny story. What's that?
We have a birthday in the chat. Lorraine
We do.
Is 77 years old today. I just thought
my age. How you
happy
do?
Birthday,
Good.
Elaine.
Happy
Lorraine.
birthday. Lorraine, yeah, happy birthday, sweetie. Happy birthday. You're not getting older, you're getting better, as they say. Especially if you're on carnivore. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
right. That's right.
I see Lat chimed in. How you doing?
New beginning.
How you doing?
So Billy wants to know, does anyone recommend coconut oil? This may be...
coconut oil, yeah. I have coconut oil.
For coffee.
For coffee. Yeah, you can put a little coconut oil in your coffee. It won't hurt you. Coconut oil, avocado oil, palm oil, some of these they call them tropical oils, aren't bad. They're not as good as animal fats, but they are monounsaturated fats. As long as whatever you're putting in there doesn't have carbohydrates, doesn't have sugar in it, as long as it's pure coconut oil. You might even add a little coconut flavor. I used to fry fish in coconut oil, but for the past couple of years I've been using bacon grease, and I actually like the flavor better. But you can use coconut. I wouldn't use too much of it. I wouldn't go half and half, like half coconut oil and half coffee or whatever. But yeah, I think that would be fine. I think that'd be fine if you could wean off of that slowly and learn to like it black. I think you'll be maybe a little better off. How many people are watching? I got a tablet here where I'm watching the 32 people. 30. Yeah, I got this tablet here, so I can actually watch the stream on Rumble and see if it's indeed still working, and it is. Yeah. So 32 people on Rumble, 130 people here. That's great. That's great for a Friday. Must be you, Ellen. Must be you.
Right. Yeah.
They certainly don't come to see this. They come to see you.
Well, I don't know. I disagree with that, Mitch. But so today, this is very appropriate. We're having a lot of coffee coffee questions here at Coffee with Mitch. So Beard and Meat would like to know, what brand of coffee do you drink? He's tried all the clean brands, but finds himself going back to the good old Folgers.
Yeah, Folgers. I drink anything that I can tolerate, basically. Same thing with cigars. I try to find a decently built cigar. The cheapest cigar I can find that actually is hand rolled and rolled out of long leaf tobacco. And that's what I smoke generally. And these things, I tell everybody, these things cost about $4 a piece. But you go into a cigar shop and buy one of the ones with the fancy rings and the big names. They can be $12, $15, $18 a stick. I'm not going to pay that much money for a cigar. I buy these in bundles of 25. And I buy coffee pretty much the same way. I'm not crazy about Folgers. I drank Folgers for many, many years. I got myself a Keurig machine for the sole purpose of not making an entire pot of coffee and drinking the whole thing every day. I wanted to cut back on coffee, and I figured, well, if I just make it 1 cup at a time, I won't drink as much. And that actually worked. It's a little more expensive because you buy coffee in the K-cups. It costs you a lot more than when you buy a big pound jug, big red pound jug of Folgers. But not that significant. I buy the K-cups at Sam's. I drink maybe half decaf and half regular, and I'm kind of gone more towards the decaf. I haven't had any regular coffee. I've had 2 cups. This is my 2nd cup today. I did have a cup this morning with my iodine in it. 2 drops of Lugol's 2% iodine solution. I do that every morning. And that was decaf. And then I said to myself, do I really need caffeine? No, I'm wide awake. Why? Let me just drink another cup of decaf. And I drink probably on average 3 cups a day. And you guys see me drink most of the coffee I drink because I drink them in the live streams. So that's 3 days a week I do a live stream besides the morning live stream. So, and 7 morning live streams. So that's 10 live streams a week. So 10 cups of the coffee I drink every week, I'm doing it with you guys. But right now I'm drinking the McCafe. I think it's McDonald's brand. Whether it's got shit in it or not, I don't care. I don't drink enough of it. I'm not that focused on the tiny, inconsequential things. As long as it doesn't have sugar, as long as it doesn't trigger any addictions, I'm not going to worry about what's in that cup or 2 a day I drink of that decaf. And when I drink caffeinated coffee, I usually just buy something that they got on sale, like maybe the Donut Shop brand or the House brand, the Members Mark brand from Sam's Club, which you can get 100 K-cups for $27. So that's 27 cents a cup for coffee. Is not unreasonable. But I'm not a coffee aficionado. You're not going to find a $3,000 espresso machine in my house. Bean grinders. No. Take the K-cup, stick it in, push the button. On to the next thing. Hope that answers that for you.
Yes, some people really get into their fancy coffee.
And there is a difference. I'm not knocking that. I mean, if you've ever had a really perfect cup of coffee, you say, oh, wow. And I know that because when we used to go to these fine dining restaurants and have coffee after your meal, there was just something about that coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they worked very hard to put out the best tasting, and there is something about it. But do I need that every time I just grab a cup of coffee? No, I usually end up gulping it down because it gets cold, half cold, and I just gulp down, so.
Yeah, well, you know what you do, and I do this too. I put salt in my coffee. So if anyone has not experimented with that, you might want to try it.
I think that this
really, I love it, the flavor.
Yes, and I think that this McCafe decaf does have some salt in it. I can taste it. Yeah, I think that people don't know it, but that really does bring out the flavor of coffee.
Yeah, it does. It cuts the acidity. Well, moving on from coffee.
Okay, but one thing I want to caution you: I would not put 2 teaspoons full of salt like you might sugar in a cup of coffee. I think I think you'd find it a little bit horrible.
Yes. Tiny bit. I don't know. I have a teeny tiny scoop. Maybe it's like an eighth of a teaspoon.
Yeah, a
Not
tiny
really
little pinch
salt,
of it or something.
but I like that. So anyway, moving on. What would a carnivore chat be without a poop question? So Jeff Johnson would like to know, do you have experience with mineral oil for constipation?
No. No,
Yeah.
I was constipated all my life. All my life. I kept buying into this Metamucil, you need more fiber stuff, and laxatives. And I damn near ruined my whole digestive system.
Yeah, that'll
I was
do it.
always bloated. I was always felt plugged up. I was always worried that maybe I got an obstruction and I need to go to the hospital. I talked to doctors about it, and all they could do was say, nobody ever said to me, eat more fat. they, they said, eat less fat, don't eat meat, eat more vegetables and more fiber, you know, and take Metamucil by the gallon. And that just made the problems worse. I ended up with diverticulosis, which doesn't go away. I still have it. I'm lucky that it never went to diverticulitis where it got infected, but that's an outpouching of your colon from just so much internal pressure all the time. It's basically like an aneurysm of the colon. And then these little pockets pouch out off the side, and they end up filling up full of stuff that settles in there, and that stuff can get infected. And that's when you get diverticulitis, which is very serious. Now, I managed, I have never had a flare up of that, but I was always aware of a little pressure out there at that area in your colon where it transverses across your lower abdomen and then takes the downturn. We've all seen pictures of that colon going up and across and down, and all the rest of our small intestines are kind of somewhere in the middle there. And it's right on my left side at the place where that bend happens, and that's where I happen to have this diverticuli, and I can feel it, and even to this day, I still sometimes feel a little pressure in there. And I was alarmed about that pressure, and I went and had it checked out. And on a scan, that's when they diagnosed the diverticulosis, and that comes from just simply abusing your colon by following the accepted dietary advice from virtually everybody who you trust and think knows what the hell they're talking about. And if you said to any of those people, well, here's an idea, Doc. How about I don't eat any fiber? How about I don't eat any fiber anymore? I don't eat a single plant. Follow me through this, Doc. I know this sounds like you need to be calling the men in the white coats to come take me away. But follow me through this. I don't eat, because I heard somewhere that this might help. You don't eat any fiber. You don't eat any plants. You only eat maybe 20-25% of your calories from actual, real, fresh meat or animal products. And the rest of your diet, 70% plus of your calories, you eat nothing but animal fat. How do you think that would work in fixing my lifelong digestive problems, where I get so plugged up that I have to eat half a bottle of laxatives just to make it through another week in pain and discomfort? And what do you think that doctor would say to me? You know what he'd say to me. Well, that's exactly what I did when I went on carnivore 2 years and 4 months ago. It took a couple of months. And the best part is when you're on carnivore, you're not creating any waste at all, hardly. So people panic on carnivore. I haven't had a bowel movement in a week. What's happening? But somehow I don't feel bloated or any discomfort. And that's what happened to me. And I finally figured it out. Finally learned and accepted the fact. I had known it, but I finally accepted it as reality that the reason I'm only going once a week is that there's nothing to get rid of. I'm not eating any of that stuff my body wants to get rid of. And over the course of the next 2 years, my whole digestive system has normalized. I have never been constipated. I monitor the consistency. I take a look at what comes out, and if it's too hard or something like constipation, I add a little more fat to my diet. If it's too loose or soft, I eat maybe a little, don't consciously eat as much fat. But that's the gauge that I use. And right now, I've settled in after 2 years and 3 months that it's normal for me every 3 or 4 days to just go to the bathroom. And I know exactly when I'm ready. I don't think about it. I don't force it. I don't agonize over, holy cow, I haven't gone in 3, 4 days. I just take the cues from my body. And it's been going on like that for well over a year. And I finally, after a lifetime of always having that on my mind and always being concerned about is, am I going to bust a gut and die? I always, like clockwork now, no problem anymore. So I hope that's a good answer to your poop question there. Doing a quick check here to see if anybody bought me a coffee this morning. No, nobody. They figure I got enough coffee.
Oh,
I didn't want to miss thanking anybody that might have done that. So
yeah, I'll put the link back in.
I appreciate that, Ellen, but it's okay. It's okay. Listen, how many people do I still? I still have 34 people watching on Rumble. I still have 134 people here. That's great. That is great. 9:30.
Yes.
It's 9:30, and time for me to pack all this stuff up, get in the car, head over to the post office, pick up my keys.
Oh, okay.
Get my P.O. box number, and then I'll come home and have my first meal of the day, which, unsurprisingly, is going to be bacon
and eggs.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you that got plans for the weekend, I want to wish you all a great weekend. I'm going to be here, unless something comes up, and I doubt it, every morning. We'll see how long I can keep this up without actually breaking the record. It's going to be interesting. But I enjoy doing it. It's a great way for me to start the day amongst friends. Thank you all for coming. We bring Ellen back in, and we'll let Ellen say goodbye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thanks for being here. It was great seeing you this morning. Have a great Friday.
Very good. Thanks so much for the help, Ellen. Thank you. And they're still chatting away. They're still chatting away. I see Ed DLC says, watching from Delaware. How you doing? Have a great day and eat meat. So take a minute. I will. Play a little happy music. Take a minute, say goodbye to each other while I relight my cigar, and the music will start again in a second. There it goes. And thank you so much. Thank you so much to everybody that came to visit me on Rumble. I'm going to take one more quick look at the Rumble chat and see. I see United Carnivores in the Rumble chat too. How you doing? Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for participating in this, and I hope you make it a regular part of your day as well. I really do. So, with all that, I think I finished my coffee. I did. Didn't get much of this smoke, but we'll take care of that later. Thanks again for coming. Have a great Friday. And most importantly, take the rest of the day off and eat meat.